Alright, so today we have the H501M, and this is Hubsan's newest model that they just released the video for today. And it's a Wi-Fi based quad, and as you see it's got a new color. We'll go over all of this, but first I just want to go over a couple things, some good information for you. This model isn't a step back for Hubsan. I know there's a lot of frustration where people think, oh, it's a step backwards, that we want more advanced models. You're gonna get them, they're coming. But as far as this goes, this model is basically just to get your feet wet. If you have a 501S or a 501SS, you don't want to spend the money on a 501A yet, or you don't have that money, this is a cheaper alternative. That's all this is. It's a way to get your feet wet flying Wi-Fi. And then I think the hopes are that you'll like it, you'll be more curious about the 501A, and from a sales point, it's bringing you to the 501A. So that's all it is. The one thing I noticed today in their new video that they released is they're advertising this as a basic edition, and in the video they show them just using the app or device. So that tells me that it's probably going to be even cheaper than going with what they advertise with the transmitter, which is a Bluetooth transmitter that just controls the app. And they're advertising that at $119. So without that, it's only safe to assume that it would be cheaper than $119 if you went with the basic edition. And that makes it even more appealing. So we'll find out what they do with that as far as sales go. But I would expect that the basic edition is going to be somewhere probably around 100 or less than 100. That's just a guess. And then the, let's call it advanced package or full package with the Bluetooth transmitter, that'll be $119 based on their advertising it currently on the website. So we'll find out more about that. Now, as for the differences with the 501M versus say your 501A, besides the price, number one, you can see right off the bat that you have this primer gray shell, which I think looks really great. They've put in the gold accents with your gold canopy. Battery's gonna fall out. With your gold canopy, your gold nose shade, and gold lampshades. I'm not crazy about all that gold. Some of you might really like gold, but I made one suggestion to offer two packages for that accent color. One would be the gold and one would be chrome, and that would be the chrome off of the 501C, which I think looks really good with that gray. So you would get the chrome canopy, a gray nose shade, and then gray lampshades. That's just a suggestion I made. That's my personal preference as to what I like and think would look good. So whatever they do with that, it's up to them. It's just a suggestion based on my preference that I made to them. So whether they'll sell it like that or not, I don't know. The other thing that's different with the H501M is to help with the price point, they cut back on the camera. The camera is now 720p. It does not come with your filter, and that would actually make it a little bit too dark, I think. But you've got 720p, and I will say for a 720p the quality is pretty good. I'm not disappointed with it at all. So it's what I expect with the 720p, but I think it's on the higher end compared to a lot of your cheap quad toy quads that are out there. I think there's a lot of pretty lousy 720p models out there, but with this one I'm happy with the quality on that. And later hope to do some videos of the actual camera in flight. So as soon as weather breaks, I'll do those videos and load those onto the channel. Aside from the camera, you've also got the different color shell. You're used to the traditional white and black. Now you've got this gray, which I like that very much. The production models will say Wi-Fi right here, and then they'll have the traditional stickers on the front, just like you're used to. The props are the same size. The motors are the same. You do have different internal parts, of course, but the other thing is the flight time. They've got that advertised at 20 minutes, and I've flown it quite a bit here lately, and I average 22 minutes easy on it. So I'm just going to say that it's a 22-minute flight time on a new battery, fully charged and balanced. And you also have, if you are using a 501S or SS or A, and you have the new orbit feature that lets you orbit here or orbit around the transmitter, you know, you can change your point of orbit basically and orbit it where you want and what size diameter. It has that feature as well within the firmware. And what else? Of course, you know, they advertise it as the waypoint flyer, so you do have the waypoints, you have follow me. The one thing is, with this being a Wi-Fi model, you don't get to use any transmitter other than the Bluetooth. So it does not have 2.4, so you will not be able to use an advanced or standard transmitter with this. You can only use the Bluetooth. The Bluetooth does not connect to the quad, it connects to the app and controls the app. So you do get less range with a strictly Wi-Fi based quad. So that's one important thing that you really want to think about, is range. If you're looking to get real high range, this is not going to do it. So they're advertising this, which I was really surprised. They're advertising this as your flight distance being 50 meters. I've already surpassed that by 50 meters, so I don't know why they've cut it down so low, but I've done 100 meters. I stopped at 100 meters and just flew around that area, that point, and I did not notice any hesitation, any problems. My camera quality, as far as my FPV, that was all still good. There is a little bit of lag in the camera, but that's something that they can fix. But 50 meters I think is cutting the mark a little bit, but maybe it's just them being safe. But I can say that this one here anyhow does 100 meters easy, and I'm sure it will do more, which I definitely have to test that to test the fail-safe. I want to hit that wall where I'm out of range and see if the fail-safes kick in. So that still needs to be tested yet. But that's all that's really different with this model. You have a majority of the features you're used to. You have a decent flight time. You have interchangeable parts, and the main thing is just the lack of range. So that's really the only thing you need to take in consideration. Still, with that lack of range, flying in line of sight within 100 meters, it's a fun quad, and at the price point, like I said, it's kind of hard to pass up. So I highly recommend this so far, just based on all my testing. I have found some bugs with it, and we'll go over those as well. But now let's just get straight into a little introduction, further introduction of the quad and the app and controller. So we're going to go ahead and hook it up, and once I hook up the battery, you're going to pretty soon be able to tell what the new piece of hardware is within this if you just watch the lights. So right now it's doing the gyro sensor test. Now it's done and you see just the front lights are flashing. So right there it should tell you right off the bat the lights aren't going in a clockwise pattern to ask you to do a compass calibration. With the 501M there is no more compass calibration, at least not the way you're traditionally used to doing it. You can still do it and you still will do it from time to time, but it does not prompt you to do it every single time you go to fly. So now that famous compass dance is finally getting put to bed for the most part. And you can engage it to do the compass calibrations with the transmitter. You can also get it to do it with the app, just by simply going in the menu on the app and initiating it to do it. And as far as a compass calibration goes, every time you first start up to go fly for your very first flight, each time I would recommend you do the compass calibration. The other times you would want to do it are, say you hit return to home and you get a toilet bowl effect, and that would be a time to land it yourself with the transmitter. So you take it out of return to home and land it, and then do your compass calibration and then fly again, and it should be fine. Anytime you get toilet bowl effects or anything like that, any type of odd characteristics like that, it's usually a compass calibration. The other time I would do a compass calibration is if you're flying in one location and then you move to another location and start flying from there. You want to do that as a reset basically, and do your compass calibration again. So the good thing is, if you're flying in one spot and it's acting as it should and flying good, you don't have to do your compass calibrations every time you change a battery. So that's really good that they started doing that. And I'm testing it currently in the SS. This has been testing for several months now, and it's got a few flaws, but for the most part it works. And they just need to iron it out a little more with firmware. The one thing I've noticed with the new compass is it does occasionally, just out of the blue, ask you to do a compass calibration. It's not supposed to do that, but currently that's what it does. It's not a big deal because you just quickly do a compass calibration and you're done with it. It's not supposed to do that, so that's something they're going to have to work out. But we've got it started. Let's go ahead and get into connecting to the app and connecting to the Wi-Fi, then connecting to the app and the transmitter. Alright, so sorry if you can't see the screen real well on the device here. It's a little bright and makes it hard to see with the camera, but once I get into the app it's darker and you'll be able to see better. So first thing you want to do on your device is you want to go into your settings and you want to go to your Wi-Fi, and you're going to select the Hubsan H501M Wi-Fi. Now I've already connected, so it's not going to prompt me for a password. First time connection on any device, it's going to prompt you for the password. After that it should not ask you for the password, but the password is just a series of numbers 1 through 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you connect. So we are connected to the Wi-Fi. Now we can just close out of that, if I can do it. Alright, now let's go into the Hubsan app. Once the Hubsan app goes to the home screen, You can either drop down the menu and select your model, or you can scroll the models to the 501M, enter device. Now you'll notice that you have your virtual sticks. If you're just going to fly without the transmitter using this, using your device, you're going to have your virtual sticks. But we're going to connect the transmitter, and once we connect it, the virtual sticks go away. What you need to do in order to connect this is first go into your settings, and on the controller you'll see where it says Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. If you're going to fly with just the device and the app, if you've got the basic edition, I guess, you're going to just select Wi-Fi and do your other settings to your preferences and fly with the app using the virtual sticks. But we're going to connect to the transmitter, so we're going to select Bluetooth. Now we're going to turn on the transmitter by pressing and holding the power button till it beeps. Then you'll see that the Bluetooth icon here is flashing blue. Once that's flashing blue, then it's ready to connect. So now we're going to go to Bind Transmitter and Aircraft Connection, and you'll see it here in the menu. You want to make sure you highlight it and then just click Connect, and you'll see here it goes solid blue. Now we're connected and our virtual sticks are gone. The other thing you want to do is in your settings, take off only when GPS signal is well. If you have that set to yes, it will not start indoors, or if you have under the allotted amount of satellites. So I have it set for no, and with that I can arm the engines or the motors with lesser satellites. Now, one thing you'll notice, it did not ask me to bind. That's a little flaw that they have right now. It's a glitch. I don't know, this should be hopefully taken care of once it goes to production, which it's in production now. So don't know if this has been resolved yet. It's not a big deal, because you can go into the menu and you can make it bind, or right here it says bind aircraft. You select that and it'll automatically go into the bind mode. Also, I found if I just move the sticks around, it'll make that pop up, but we're going to do it within the menu here. So it says not bounded, which is great grammar. It's supposed to be not bound, but here it says bind aircraft, or bind aircraft to device. So we're going to click OK, and it's going to bind, and then you'll see it goes into the GPS accuracy test. If you're not familiar with this test, just tests it tests your distance with your device and your quad for accuracy. And with the 501A, it takes several attempts. One thing I've noticed with the 501M, it's always passing within, I would say on average, within 2 attempts. So that's been an improvement. But being indoors, we can't do this test. It's not going to pass, so we're going to skip it. So with that, we should be able to arm the motors, and you do that the same traditional way you use any transmitter, and pull your sticks out. And there you have it. So now let's just go over the menu a little bit, and I'm just going to go through this kind of quickly. We're not going to go over every single setting, because my preferences are going to be different from yours, but we'll just get you a little familiar with it and let you have a look at it. The first is on your menu, it's the aircraft icon, and it shows you your model. You can go in and change all your waypoint parameters to your preference, and then you have the GPS accuracy test, which is what we skipped. If you do the GPS accuracy test when it prompts you and it fails, you're going to need to go here to reinitiate it each time until it passes. Right now it tells us that we're bounded, or bound, and the flight control firmware version is right here. Currently it's FC110. That may change with a new production model. And then you have the FPV firmware version, which is your camera firmware. It's IT version 114. And then we're going to go to the next option in the menu, which is your joysticks. It just lets you do the settings for those and to change the mode from mode 1 to mode 2. Mode 2 is throttle on the left. Mode 1 is throttle on the right. I think most people fly in mode 2, so that's what I have it set for. That's what I fly with. You can change the GPS signal I showed you earlier to where it'll wait for the allotted amount of satellites, or you can skip that and fly with lesser satellites. Say if you're going to fly indoors, then you would put that on no. Then you have your virtual joystick sensitivity, where you can go in and set the sensitivity of your joysticks. Then you go to the controls settings, and it says here transmitter model, but there's nothing there. There is missing information here, so I don't know if that's just something with mine being a test version, or if that's something that this stuff will show up later. Then you have your transmitter connection, which we've gone over, which is Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Set the transmitter and aircraft connection. We did that when we bound to the transmitter. And then you have transmitter hardware version and transmitter firmware version. It's not showing anything, so that's something that I guess they'll have to work on. And then we have our map settings. This is all going to be user based on your preferences. And then last we have the others option, and that is automatic screen rotation. So if you turn your device, the screen will rotate with it. I never turn that on. I always have it selected as no. Your FPV on or off, I have that on. I don't really know why you'd want to turn that off other than to save battery. And then you have your app version, which is currently 144 for the Android. And then you have a novice guide where you can go through and just kind of get a little bit of information there. Two things I want to point out here that are really important is your calibrations. You can, like I said, manually initiate your calibration. So you can also do that your normal way with the sticks. So we're going to do the calibration. We're indoors, so it's, well, actually it's doing pretty good. All right, so we did our calibration manually. That's how you do it manually. You can also do it with your sticks, which is pulling your left stick out to the left and then taking your right stick and toggling it left and right, left and right, left and right. That will initiate the manual calibration of your geomagnetic compass. The other one is your horizontal calibration, and that is also known as your IMU calibration. And as an example, if you're flying and your stick is perfectly straight forward and your quad is doing a little crab walk on you, it's not going straight forward, it's actually flying like this. That's one reason to do this calibration, and I'm really happy they have it in the app because it's just such a simple calibration, and it's real frustrating when you have these behaviors and you need to quickly fix them. So to do this calibration, you want to make sure you're on a flat level surface, because what this calibration does is your internal measurement is going to reset all the values to 0. So if you have it on a tilted surface and you do this calibration, that's what it's going to read as 0, and you can imagine how terribly that would fly. So put it on a nice flat level surface, do your calibration, and it'll zero out the values for that flat surface, and you'll have a very good flying quad. So all you need to do is click horizontal, lights flash, and they stop. Comes back to your camera and you're done. One more time. Just click horizontal calibration, does the calibration, and done. So now it's calibrated, and that's all the basic menu information. And just to go over the rest of the app real quick, you have your auto takeoff, and it says, are you sure you want to take off? I'm going to click cancel because I'm indoors. But once you click OK, this icon's going to change to your landing icon. And when that does, you'll have the option to land here or return to home. It gives you your options. So we're going to click cancel. And you also have your controller icon here. That's just a dead icon because we're connected with the Bluetooth, and you can see the Bluetooth symbol in the bottom right hand corner. And then you have your features where you can do your waypoints, where you can do follow me, and where you can do orbit, also known as circle flyer. So I've tested all of these, and I have to say this is probably the best follow me model I've had yet as far as this firmware goes. If anybody owns an SS or an A, you'll notice that when it turns, it's kind of, you're standing over here off to the side and it's pointing in this direction. So far this sucker's been pointing dead straight at me every single time I do follow me. So with that being so accurate, it does great with orbit mode, and it does good with waypoints as well. So all the features work very well with this. I'm very happy with that. And then this just tells you if you're on and off, and gives you your signals and your satellites. We have 0 satellites, 93 battery, and then your camera and video are right here, how to start it. There's your record, or your picture, I'm sorry. No, it's on record. So right now we're recording video. And then you go over to camera. The way the icon switches always throws me off. The other thing I want to point out is the camera quality is good, but it does have lag. So if you notice my hand on the screen as I move it, there is some lag there. I haven't timed it out to see how much of a delay it is, but we're not talking about a racer here, so it's not that big of a deal. Is it something they can fix? Yes. So it's just another little, I don't know if you qualify this as a glitch or just a lesser camera quality, but again, it's not a problem. You're not flying 60 miles an hour, and the lag, not going to cause you to crash into a tree. The delay isn't significant enough to where it's going to cause you any problems. So that's it. That is the H501M. I think we covered everything. Again, they're selling it as a basic edition without the transmitter, and they are also offering it with the transmitter, so I guess we need to keep an eye on the price points. And the other thing was it has a new orbit feature. There's some lag into the camera, but the quality is good, and they're advertising it at 50 meters, but I know for a fact mine in the neighborhood where I do have Wi-Fi, it will do 100 meters easy. And you have the new compass, which is my biggest excitement because this is something we've been testing and working on for several months, and having it introduced in the M means it's not far behind for the other models, so that's pretty exciting. And then you have also, what I didn't mention is, I don't think I mentioned, was the flight time. They're advertising it at 20 minutes. On a new well-balanced battery, I've averaged 22 minutes. So a couple minutes is pretty significant, I guess. Not that you're going to be far out there and risk not being able to return to home on a low battery, but 22 minutes is good flight time. So that's about it. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for those of you who subscribe. Those of you who do not subscribe, please do so if you like the content. And if you do subscribe, you'll always get the newest models as soon as I'm able to release the video. I never release my videos before Hubsan, just out of respect. And there are some new models coming. There's a new racer. There's another model coming out that I'm not talking about the H122. There's another racer coming out. And then they also have another model that many people have seen that looks really cool because it's got a more of an RC grade transmitter, and it comes with goggles and if you get the advanced package. I'm very excited about that one. And it may or may not be a racer, that's all I'll tell you. And there's also some other new devices coming out very soon, hopefully, that are currently being tested. And once I am able to show video of those, you'll get them here first. So subscribe to the channel, and if you like the content, please click like. And you're welcome to join the group. It's Hubsan. It's on Facebook, Hubsan QC Help and Support. And the one thing I'm going to do next is I'm going to make the change and do the different color canopy with the chrome and the gray. So I will add that to the end of the video and see how you like the different appearance of that versus the gold package. So again, thank you, and we'll see you soon. There you go. Now that's an H501M right there. Much better in my opinion.